Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ, as we are in this season talking all things science fiction, tabletop role playing games. And of course, as we see here with a flashing thank you very much to Popular Mechanics, a both a magazine and website that we're going to reference today because the timing is uh is notable. Timing is very notable, and let me not um set off any or too many uh visual discrepancies here. We're going to talk about something that I just received it yesterday, the magazine that is known as Popular Mechanics, and it's pretty interesting because it's extremely geeky and nerdy, and it was right up my alley. The End King says, "Man on the 293 Moons is my favorite Jim Carrey movie." I don't know if I don't know if you'd want to walk to all of those, but it does. This does bring up. Oh, it did show up. Okay, I was like, where's the thing at? So, um, I wanted to bring up an article that is strangely titled "Every Single Moon Ranked." As a matter of fact, with this is the homepage of Popular Mechanics here, but it actually has a title to it. Oops, move. Stop doing that. There we go. It does have a title, and it's titled "Every Single Moon Ranked," and with 293 so far that are recorded as moons, or at least described as moons, in our solar system. I'm glad that there is a somewhat subjective and a little bit idiotic ranking system here about the moons in our own solar system, and I'm glad another entity reinforced in me the desire that, especially in hard science fiction, that we are missing plenty of opportunities to explore our own solar system before we start telling fictional stories where we leave Earth's atmosphere and travel out into the larger solar system, its larger interstellar community. That before humanity even begins going to say Alpha Centauri and meeting other alien races, that what about the interesting neighborhood we already live in? And I think our solar system very much embodies that. And just by having a 293 ranked most interesting moons article, and I actually have the physical book in magazine in front of me because I just got the article. I mean the book. Yep. This actually has on the cover of this magazine is it lists every single moon ranked, and then it has you can't even see it really, and I'm probably going to blow out my camera here, but it does have a list in the background, the the name of all of the moons and their rankings. Yeah, Moon Wars. Yeah. Yeah, please don't rank Pluto as a moon. I know. Pluto keeps getting kicked around as a Kuiper belt object and such, although I think Uranus and Neptune are kind of thrown in there as well. And there are plenty of moons where their histories so far, some of them are from impacts. Other moons have arrived because they are Oort cloud and Kuiper belt objects that have been pulled into the gravities of other planets. And I love it. I love all of it. Yeah. Drew says, forget Star Wars. We're doing Moon Wars now. And I am so sorry. This is something I've heard probably 30 years ago, but or more. And I'm sorry I can't give proper credit to this, but and this was not for role playing games, but it was the simple concept of follow the money. But it was larger about following the resources. And following the resources is a great way to tell stories. So, yeah, yes, I am ignoring it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't. I've seen some of the like through my feed, like the 40K. There's some kind of 40K controversy, but I just went past it. I hear you, but I was just like I don't know the context, and I didn't have the energy to go into what was going on. I mean, like for example, we haven't really talked about the Cynthia Williams leaving Watsy, and it's just like, who cares? I mean, what's going to change our attitudes? Or these are C-suite people. They don't write books and games, and even if they did, so what? We play the games the way we want to. So yeah, there's controversy on that end as well. Iron Man in the movies and Chewbacca in one of the books. Two characters have been hit by moons. Seems to be seems to be that that our some of our main characters are not moving out of the way of these very large objects. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's we don't need to attach our identities to anything that we do or from a hobby standpoint. So I kind of don't get it. So um for we're not going to go over 293 moons. Hell, you can forget that. But it is pretty interesting, um and rather remarkable, to be honest with you, that we have such great imagery of so many of the moons. And I believe this, if I count it correctly, I believe these are 14 various moons from a collection of missions with high res imagery of the moons. And this is on again. As a matter of fact, I'll put it's in the doobly doo, but I will also put this in the link below. This is the website popular mechanics, and it even says every single moon ranked, and some of the interesting. So we'll go over them. We'll go backwards, and maybe we'll start. Hopefully, YouTube won't pop me on this too much. Actually, maybe I'll. There we go. I'll put this off to the side. Yes, Obsidian Star. It is there. I haven't changed the lower third, but that's fine. You guys get what's going on. So for as I try to get this article up here, so I can kind of go into some of the bits and pieces of it. Um, some of the For me, the very interesting things about moons and objects in our own solar system, the planets, the moons, the satellites, the rocky bodies, and things, is that when you follow the resources, you you follow the drama. And resources can be space, it can be value in terms of money, status, prestige, rumors, whatever is important to a people can is how you follow the drama that proceeds after it. If there's not enough space for people to live, then you can follow that storyline. Yellowstone is a television show about a gentleman that owns the largest ranch in the United States. And it is so large, it actually takes days to cross it, at least on horseback. And it is a television show that was very popular about one man whose family owns the largest ranch and who wants to have access to it, and how all of this um this wild landscape belongs to someone, and the value that it holds. And so when you start attaching value to resources, and whatever that value means, that value could just mean cash, the value can be power, it can be controlling movement of people if someone cannot move through your property. And in science fiction, of course, uh you know moons represent, you know, landscapes that we could mine. We can live on them. They may have solids, liquids, and or gases that we can harness for power or energy, or even weaponize those things. These moons can be places for people to hide, or pilgrims to go to establish their own way of life, isolated away from a larger community. These might be military establishments or vacation locations or places for piracy and criminals to establish themselves. And then there's the drama of each of those interests and factions being in conflict with each other. You know, if a government wants to build a military base in a location where there's a black market happening on this moon, do the black marketeers just get up and move, or do they try to connive, threaten, deceive, all kinds of fill in the blank of any kind of social interaction to get the military base not to be built here? Do they bribe or blackmail or somehow threaten or cajole politicians that want to build a military base? Or maybe the military base and the mercenaries that are building this place don't belong to anyone, and those criminals try to get an exclusive contract with these mercenaries, as if to say, yeah, you can build your place here, but please come to us for your weaponry, maybe for your downtime, for your vices and things. And this is just me pulling information out of my ass. So if you follow resources, you follow drama, and when you follow the drama, you have story. And that can be very important. And like I said, sometimes it could just simply be status, and that status might be very micro. Status amongst family. Uh, uh, there might be levels of success and merit where some individuals are don't have as much merit, and they are trying to make some successes. There's also individuality, individuals trying to leave their homes and other things. And so follow the resources. And with 293 moons, we're not talking about the asteroid belt. We're not talking about the Kuiper belt or Oort cloud. We aren't talking about the objects that are reside within the orbital zones of all of our planets, such as the satellites in the L4 and L5 regions. We're not even talking about those. So yeah, if you just placed people on 1/10 of the number of moons, that's still 30 different locations. And we're only talking about maybe one hab for each one of those, right? So, yeah. But anyway, yes, according to NASA's website, there are over 200 moons in the solar system, confirmed moons and provision moons, ones we suspect may be there or have spotted once but haven't yet confirmed. So the 293 number is not exactly confirmed yet. Much of that has not been viewed. Many of these moons haven't been viewed yet. It's just because of the permutations with using math and gravity. It's mathing out the system, including the fact that they are still. There are scientists who still feel that there is a. It used to be the 10th planet, Planet X. Now it's, I guess, would be Planet 9, and that some contest that it might not actually even be a planet. It could even be a black hole that orbits at every 10,000 years, but who knows? But anyway, here we have an explanation of what prograde and retrograde orbiting is for some of these moons. We have regular orbits and irregular orbits, which become elliptical or eccentric, and there's a measurement of eccentricity. Basically, a perfect circle is zero point 0, and then the eccentricity has a measurement unto itself. And then we go down in this article. Oh, yeah. For some reason, they popped it in here twice. Now, something I think is real fun to pull on is the families. So out in our own solar system, there are solar or stellar families, meaning that not unlike classic science fiction where we see, say, an asteroid belt or something, where we just see a homogenized belt of rocky bodies that are like smashing into each other. Instead, because of the mass of these things, they are attracted to each other and they end up being grouped into things known as families. And these families are given names, and we could have our adventures happen within these families of rocky bodies. And dare I say, if you're stuck for mind fuel, you could use the names of the rocky bodies to enhance and use that as a stepping off point for the kind of story you want to tell. So in this article, they talk about the various families and and how they were named and some of the names. And of course, here we have where you could see even just right here in the well, you may not be able to see it, but we start out with like number 164 and going backwards, and you can't see it. You can't see it. Yeah. Yeah, shitlords with criminals with an exclusive contract that you can vote for. Maybe. Well, I mean, there. I could imagine a number of criminal organizations that need the protection of a very organized mercenary group, and the crime lords get together to vote on whether they want a third party to protect their interests as they, I don't know, exploit resources using like indentured and enslaved labor or something to extract resources or whatever. Yeah, but um, selling of bodies and minds on the open market in hard science fiction. Shinobi, hey, what's up? Drew says, I wonder if the moons even understand the gravity of the situation they're in. But boom. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, we do have this large group here. I mean, and it goes through each of them. I don't suggest. I said this earlier in some other broadcasts that many of the names come from mythology. Not all of them Greek, although most of them are like Greek mythological names. Although we do have like Shakespeare, we have ones from Inuit culture and things of that nature. Um, Gaelic woods and such, but using those as you don't want Uranus to have be irregular. You don't want Uranus to be irregular, but whatever. It happens. Um, and there are images taken by many of the satellites that have been sent out into space. Some of those images are really good, others maybe not so much. Like here we have in Jupiter we have the Ananke group, uh, consists of 16 moons, 15 of which are likely fragments of the captured satellite Ananke, which experienced a catastrophic impact. The name Ananke comes from ancient Greek literature and represents the personification of fate or necessity, who rewards or punishes people for their deeds, according to NASA. And that sounds like a really cool that sounds like a cool starting off point, but we're going to get to the bottom of this, literally and figuratively, as we go through this long list of satellites, um and rocky bodies and moons and things like that. But here's one I want to stop at. Like around Saturn we have the Inuit group. Moons of the Inuit group likely captured asteroid fragments got their name from Michael Arvarluk Kusugak, an acclaimed Inuit children's book author. And there are, and these are the names of those. There's like five of them, and I can't pronounce all of them. Tarkik, Siarnak, Paliak, Ijarak, and Kivikiak. I, I butchered that. I'm pretty sure I put the incorrect emphasis on the improper syllable. Um, But as we get to the bottom of this list, and it's a long list, you'll notice that the names of some of these places start becoming like I recognize those names from you know Greek mythology and school and things of that nature. I recognize some of these places like Prometheus is number 42. Mind you, this ranking, by the way, is not the order in which these were discovered. These are just rankings by a bunch of nerds that got together and said, "Hey, let's rank all the moons." So yeah, Titania, Oberon, from Shakespeare, I believe. Yeah, Titania, the Queen of Fairies in Shakespeare, a Midsummer's Night's Dream. Titania also commands a presence in orbit around Uranus. Scientists believe a series of rift valleys on its surface indicates tectonic extension. And they're finding many interesting variables in moons. And a lot of these variables in the various moons themselves uh, mean that many of these moons are very active, and they are also. There we go. Let's share this out. Many of the moons are extremely active, and not only are they active, but many of them are have a when I say active, that they are warm enough to possibly have life there. It might be microbial life, but still could present have life. And if the core of the moon is warm or warm-ish, we could live in those places and where there's like tectonic activity and things like that. So pretty cool. Mm-mm-mm. The interweb's running terrible today. It must just be something. I don't know. Yeah. Shinobi says, "You say family," and I hear Vin Diesel from the Fast and the Furious movies. Hey, listen, don't even. Yeah, family. So, um, mm, 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 I love this stuff. But let's see. Let's page down here. Pretty interesting fade here. Um, let's go into some of the more interesting things about the various moons and the ones that you probably are very familiar with, but let's go into them anyway. So here we have Titan, and Titan was picked as number one. I thought I would go backwards, but let's not do that. You would It would seem strange that we would pick like Titan, because I think a lot of people would either pick our own moon, Luna, or maybe Europa has always been a big sci-fi location, but Titan is actually one in which we do find ourselves having some pretty interesting interactions, and I like it. I like it a lot. Can I close this out? No, it won't let me close it out. Okay, so under the moon, Titan. Uh, Titan is the only moon with a thick, significant atmosphere, and the surface pressure is 50% higher than the surface pressure on Earth. Um, you could hypothetically walk around on the moon's surface without a pressurized suit. He says you wouldn't, although you would definitely need an oxygen mask and a heater. Titan's atmosphere is flush with nitrogen, just like Earth's, but instead of oxygen, the second most abundant element is the moon's atmosphere. In the moon's atmosphere is methane or methane. Methane, I guess. Ultraviolet light from the sun breaks down the methane and nitrogen, forming the goopy haze that surrounds the moon. That's why it looks orange. Titan's surface generates powerful dust storms comparable to those on Earth and Mars. The moon's surface is dominated by hydrocarbons, highly combustible organic compounds like methane and ethane. Just as we find all three phases of water on Earth, solid, liquid, and gas, you can find all three phases of methane on Titan. And if I'm not mistaken, I think there's even a Netflix here in the States. There was a movie where um, someone emigrates to Titan and has their body genetically modified to be able to exist and breathe on Titan. And I believe I think their lungs change and body changes, and they even obtain the ability to like glide through the air. Although I'm not sure about the gravity of such a place. Yeah, aside from Earth, it is the only known celestial body to have liquid on its surface. And I'm sure even the temperature of it is probably pretty damn freezing. And such an alien moon to be so similar to Earth would absolutely, positively, story wise, for me, in my mind, think of such a place that could be, you know, an Earth 2.0. If somebody wanted to do something like that, it may be the place that humanity has altered themselves so much that we become our own aliens, which I like that story even better. And um, I'm appreciative of the fact that, with a thick atmosphere and a gas, that gaseous atmosphere could be mined. Titan could, because of it's so cold, Titan could literally become a planet, moon sized computer system, because the cold air could absolutely help to what would be the case, cool off computer systems. And there may be a whole industry just set up where there are few people, but everything that people live in and around and modify and maintain, nothing but hard drives of massive sizes and scope and things like that. And but also, with, if we don't want to go for alien life and that kind of thing, um, I very much think that having these moons, you could very easily hide things on these moons, or maybe not so much hide them, but have interesting experimentation happening outside the purview. And our players might be investigators, enforcers, um, bounty hunters, heck, even merchant traders or something. And around every moon, around the corner of every moon, they're always discovering something new. And let's not forget that despite the fact that these moons are much smaller than Earth, we humans on Earth actually don't occupy the vast majority of Earth. For our oceans take up 70%, and we don't live on the entirety of the 30% of land that is possible to live on. We collect ourselves into major cities. So a, a moon, despite the fact that it's smaller, actually has more surface area, based on the safety and the ability to settle in locations on some of these moons that aren't very disruptive. Um, there's more land mass to live on, even just its surface, without, and we're not talking about building up or digging down or going into lava tubes and things like that, that you can always have something over the horizon, as it were, to tell another story about something more interesting, whether it is social interactions with oligarch type families, or uh, deep dark experimentation where no one can see people violating human rights laws, or major corporations trying to establish themselves after being exiled from the inner system or something. Any number of stories. Here we have Io, which is looks a little, and definitely so. It looks a little bit sick, like it's pockmarked. Like, um, the if I didn't know I was looking at this planet, I would suggest that this might be a still image from, what's the show? Dr. Pimple Popper or something like that. And it's very much like that. So Io, the third largest moon of Jupiter, is the most volcanically active body in the solar system. And this science, I think, is really cool. Okay. The eruptions are so big that we can actually see them from telescopes based on Earth. If Io swapped places with our moon, you'd be able to see eruptions with the naked eye. When astronomers recently mapped the violent world, they counted at least 250 active volcanoes on its surface. Some of these volcanoes spew jets of lava dozens of miles high. I bet Venus is like that, but you can't really see it because it's got a thick atmosphere. It says, so why is the moon so volcanically active? We have gravity to thank. Io is smack dab in the middle of a gravitational game of tug of war. Io's the recipient of an intense pull from the strong gravitational field of Jupiter, as well as the gravitational fields of the neighboring Ganymede and Europa. Io is also subjected to powerful tidal forces. Its surface bubbles and bulges, sometimes as much as 330 feet, generating a tremendous amount of heat and friction within the moon. Its noxious atmosphere is also completely composed of sulfur dioxide gas, some of which condenses into sulfur dioxide ice when it passes through Jupiter's shadow. Because it is the closest Galilean moon to Jupiter and passes through the planet's magnetic field, Io also generates a serious electric current around 3 million, I believe it's pronounced amperes. This jolt of electricity is shot back toward Jupiter and generates lightning in the planet's upper atmosphere. As Io sweeps by Jupiter, the planet drags sulfur dioxide particles off its surface, forming a ring of ionized plasma around the planet. So I like that a lot. I like that how dramatic and dangerous and such it is. Drew says, "So you're saying I might find some data cores on Titan? Hell's yes, hell's yes." For those who don't know, Obsidian Star has a there is a reward system in Obsidian Star for that breaks the mold of the hard science fiction, and that these are data cores, and a data core is the applied science of what we today would consider theoretical science. So chaos theory, string theory, wormholes, dark matter, dark energy. I can't even think of more theoretical. The Higgs bosons and using neutrinos particles to communicate and so on and so forth, and uh, manufacturing black holes. Data cores are these one shot, one and done mechanisms of a bygone era because of a traumatic event. And people are scavengers hunting for data cores because it may unlock literally the secrets to the foundations of our universe. And some of those people want to use that for their own purposes. Uh, for scientists and for people who are just interested in things, maybe they want to open up their awareness to what the greater universe has. Are there others who want to use them as weapons or threats against others, or advance their technology to such a level that they outpace everyone? Of course, and that's what data cores are. Yeah, Shai says data core is the best thing ever. I will note that these are like they are one shot. If I had to make a comparison to fantasy, they're like one use magic items. Although gaining one will lead you to others, and for data core hunters, there may be people who are following you to find the data core, so you may be giving yourself away, telling on yourself. Yeah, Pimple Prawn, you watch it too. Yes, I do, shitlords. Yeah. Oh man. Dead Man says list of the 6 largest cities on Earth. Yeah, Tokyo, Delhi, Shanghai, Sao Paulo. I haven't thought about Sao Paulo. Yeah, Mexico City, yep, Cairo. And these are in the millions of people. 37 million in Tokyo. No wonder you have to have a lot of rules to live in such places. Delhi, 29 million. Hell, Cairo's down here in your top 6, and it still has over 20 million people living in the city. And here in the States, I think, aren't we at 200 million or something? Maybe 300 million in the entire United States, and we still have a large swath of the United States that's just flyover country. Uh, we call it flyover country here, as in when you take airline flights, you basically fly over that part of it. Um, Enceladus is another moon, a bit interesting here, cast in shadow. Um, Saturn's tiny 310-mile wide moon, Enceladus, didn't look like much at first. Scientist Spilker says, we thought it would be frozen solid, and yet over the course of the 13 years of the Cassini mission, we discovered that it had a global ocean of liquid water. It has jets coming out of the South Pole and evidence of hydrothermal vents. I love these moons that have oceans underneath them. Many the moons that have been discovered to possibly have um, interior oceans basically have more water than the entire oceans of Earth, because the the aquatic level layer of water that exists on the Earth is very thin compared to the entire planet, And as deep as we would like to call, like the Marianas Trench and things like that, 6 miles deep, these moons are hundreds, 2 and 3 digit kilometer deep oceans. So if you want to, not even if you want, if you would like to have an aquatic region and just do an aquatic region, that's a good place to do it. By the way, there's a role playing game called Blue Planet that is uh, where humanity had to leave Earth, and the closest planet that we could inhabit was a blue planet. It was an oceanic planet, and the entire game takes place on an oceanic planet. I'm surprised Blue Planet hasn't the RPG. I know it's got a remake, but it really hasn't hit in the tabletop community as a like um like a pop culture, like Call of Cthulhu. Cthulhuoid storytelling, uh although niche within our own community, has hardcore fans of it. I'm surprised Blue Planet doesn't have hardcore fans, because there's a cyclical nature of people wanting to tell stories of delving into deep oceans and underwater adventures. And we know as little about our own deep sea origins here on Earth as we know about space. And it filled with mystery. Cthulhu, deep space, deep ocean, same thing. Lots of mystery, lots of danger, and I'm surprised it hasn't caught on. But anyway, Enceladus, it goes on to say, scientists were so intrigued by the moon's jets that they sent Cassini on a detour to investigate. It sailed through the icy plumes multiple times and made unbelievable discoveries. They say the craft found hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen in the plume, the big four ingredients of life. It also clocked salt, silica grains, and strange nanocarbons that form at high temperatures, suggesting the seafloor could be dotted with hydrothermal vents. The recent discovery of phosphorus in the icy plumes, a first time find for any alien ocean, further suggests the moon could be habitable. And that's not just alien life, but for us humanity, harvesting those materials could be a way for humanity to live on some of these moons. And a deep ocean, what's the role playing game Eclipse Phase has, um, the Hidden Concern, a criminal organization ruled by and led by and dominated by octopoid morphs, basically um, uplifted brains in octopi and or human beings that have inserted their cortical stacks into octopi, so they live in and around these oceans. And of course there's various other morphs that can live down in the deep oceans, and I think that is so cool. Yes, you could nuke damn near any moon from orbit, but if you really need to explore, what a great way to flip and turn the tables on player characters and go, oh no, you have a mission down into the deepest oceans of an aquatic moon, and now the players have to deal with three dimensionality, worry about not just deep space in terms of vacuum and radiation, but now they have to deal with thermal vents and ice cold waters and a breathing apparatus and the ability to swim and buoyancy, and I don't know. There's a million other things that I can't think about off the top of my head right now. But what are some great stories? And again, follow the resources, follow the money. Yep. Uh, it also states that Enceladus is, in an almost poetic twist, the moon is also the most reflective body in the solar system, reflecting almost 100% of the light that reaches it. It is a beacon in more ways than one. Um, why the hell does Enceladus reflect almost basically 100% of the light? Is it because of is there something on its surface? Is it so icy that it reflects it? Or is it the minerals on its surface? Or a combination of all of that? And why is it ejecting ice and water and other things from its pole? Like, is it under intense pressure from its core to eject its watery vapors out into Saturn's rings to freeze into almost reinvigorate Saturn's rings with the icy amounts of material that is being spewed out of the moon. I don't know. We also have Triton, who's number 4. Triton definitely. Listen, you say Triton, you're definitely talking aquatic, right? From named after Greek god. Yeah, Triton, the largest moon of Neptune, is an interloper. Planetary scientists believe the moon originated far from its parent planet in the distant Kuiper belt and was later sucked into Neptune's orbit. I pronounce it Kuiper because I've heard other people call it the Kuiper belt, but it is spelled Kuiper, which is someone's last name, but it looks like it would be pronounced Kuiper, but I pronounce it Kuiper because I've heard other people pronounce it that way. It's really cool to think that there's basically a captured Pluto orbiting Neptune. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Pluto. Atmospheric scientist David Bryan of Boulder, Colorado, says of the roughly 1,600-mile wide moon, all the large moons in the solar system, it's also the only one to orbit in the opposite direction of its planet. Um, Triton is rockier than other satellites. We think it might have an ocean underneath its icy surface on top of where there's a rocky core. Triton stands out as unique, quite unique in that respect. The moon is frigid. It took surface temperature readings, which revealed the moon's surface could drop to around negative 391 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know the conversion to Celsius. Planetary scientists believe ammonia may be the key to keeping its hidden ocean liquid in spite of the freezing temperatures. And Triton's shining ice covered surface reflects 70% of the light that it receives, and its thin nitrogen rich atmosphere has traces of methane, an indicator that it might be more alive, geologically speaking, than previously thought. And then we got Europa, and then we're going to get out of here. But I have to see what you guys have to say. Deadman says 336 million total population of US so far. I think we're Deadman, if I'm not mistaken, isn't our population? No. Okay, I was about to say it's dropping. Our birth rate is dropping, but our population has stabilized because of whether you like it or not. We are having both legal and United States gets lots of legal and illegal immigration, but that still counts for our total population, whether we like it or not. But I think our birth rate is dropping, if I'm not mistaken. Deadman says 199.4 Celsius. Thank you. Always the brain. I love it. I love it. Sorry. I need to put this back up here. There we go. Oof. Sheesh. So you could have the best angler fish ever on one of these moons. Probably. Yeah, the angler fish that has the little bioluminescent um dangly thing off the front of its nose and huge maybe one of those monsters with fingers for teeth like in the Fallout television show. Uh, yeah. Yeah, shitlord's like official population. Technically, it is official if they're here, whether we like it or not. It's technically official. Now that could change based on your both your politics and your ability to, shall I say, adjust population numbers. But the minute you step somewhere, you change the population of the place you're at. So, yeah, whether the place you're stepping to likes it or not, take whenever you go someplace and visit a place, you are part of that new population. Now you could. What is your definition of population, right? Are you saying legal residents or are you saying the physical people that are there? I count population as the people who are physically there, not legal residents. But yeah. Anon says spent 20 minutes trying to come up with a Rebel Moon joke and failed. Time to go back to sleep. Um, why would you spend 20 minutes making a Rebel Moon joke? From what I understand, Rebel Moon is its own joke. Boom, boom. Yeah. The Yankee says, I remember what high school looked like. It's okay if the birth rates drop. Ooh. Ooh. Burn. Yeah. Shitler says not the politics, it's about who does the count. That's true too. Although even if it doesn't matter who does the count, there's some people who don't want to be counted as well, right? That's why I say that's why I'm making the point that population is all the people that are there. Now, whether you can count them or not, that's a different story as well. You have to population counting is estimated, and we do population counting because it's based on our politics. How many people are representatives? It's how tax monies get adjusted. It's how so uh a lot of that is I don't want to say it's political in the purest sense, not political in the which side do you fall on. And I hate the fact that we have uh that humans relegate things to duality. I can't stand it. It's ridiculous. Yeah, Deadman says, yeah, immigrants, yet both legal and illegal are not counted in the 336 million number. Yep. The Yankee says, "Oh, I just mean there were oceans of pregnant girls. I think it's good if more young people are being smart about things." Yeah, yeah. Oh, you're so right. See, I remember that too. I remember back in like in my heyday, the 80s and early 90s, it was just like um pregos everywhere. I didn't under I what wasn't there what was the oh, there was a pact with these girls that all wanted to be pregnant all at the same time, and there was like a Lifetime Hallmark movie made about it or something like that. Yeah, yeah. Shai says, "I wish I could go back and not be counted." Plantation hippie off the grid. Yeah, but then no interwebs. Yep, you can't have you can't be off the grid and be on the grid at the exact same time. Well, I guess you could plug and unplug yourself. Yeah, I remember the oceans of pregnant. I remember that so much. And depressing too, right? Because I it, as a heterosexual man, I was like, oh, she's cute. I like her. Oh, never mind. Oh, she's kind of nice. Oh, never mind. It was a lot of that. I just remember many, although many of those girls were like done dry and put away wet. You know, they aged pretty bad. The ones I in my neighborhood, yeah, they aged real bad. Oof, oof. Mm-mm-mm. Deadman says there are almost 30 million immigrants in the U.S. You mean like I presume you mean immigrating into the U.S. or estimated count of that's how many people are like are immigrants into the U.S. or is that a yearly thing? I wonder if that's how many what our turnover rate is. I don't know. Binary thinking is the curse of our times. Human philosophy was so far ahead of that hundreds of years ago. I agree. I agree. We as human beings, our minds are legion. We are we're better than we think we are, and I can't stand binary thinking. Done dry, put away wet. Another DJ song lyric. Yeah, mind you, mind you, done dry, put away wet is actually I think it's closer related um to if I'm not mistaken, driven dry, put away wet. Dealing with automobiles, not human beings. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to be done dry and put away wet. Europa. Europa's a great one. Europa has captured the imaginations of humanity. And is Europa number five? Yeah, it's number five, right? Yeah, 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 yeah. It's number five. Okay, let's get into it. So why Europa? And look at this. Look at these images here. Let's see if I can get this a little bit bigger. Pretty interesting. Pretty inter. I it looks like skin. I don't know why. It just looks like skin. So let's see if I can leave that image up there and then go to another. Yep, yep, yep. Let's collapse this down. All right, Europa. In 2012, the Hubble telescope snapped pictures of Europa that suggested it may have massive plumes of water vapor jetting as high as 100 miles into space. Scientists were stunned to find potential evidence for liquid water. Inspired by Hubble's find, scientists revisited old Galileo mission data and found similar evidence for plumes of water vapor, increasing the odds that the moon might host, at the very least, the ingredients for life. Europa is covered in a thick crust of ice, the surface of which is plastered with something known as Linnae, Lineae. Linnae? A tangled network of salt-crusted gashes thought to have formed by tidal forces. There's also a series of surface features called chaos terrain. I love that. That's such a tabletop role-playing thing. Chaos terrain. Of course it is. Which are thought to be regions where blocky chunks of sulfur and salt-stained crust initially laid upon buried lakes have subsided. It doesn't get more badass than that. And that is not my line. That's written in the article. Beneath that crust, scientists believe there's a vast saltwater ocean nestled atop a rocky mantle and iron core. That ocean contains more water than all the Earth's oceans. Researchers have proposed sending a submersible that would drill down through the moon's thick crust, perhaps slipping into one of these canyons to explore the ocean's depths. Someone says, I think Europa's got the highest probability of hosting some alien life in our solar system that we could go and find out if it's there. We're going to do that hopefully with Europa Clipper or some other missions. NASA's Europa Clipper mission is set to launch for the frozen moon in October 2024. Once it arrives at Europa after a 6-year journey, the spacecraft will conduct nearly 50 flybys. Its array of scientific instruments will snap pictures and capture spectra and thermal images of this geologically active moon, all in an effort to more closely identify its most active regions. Can't wait to see what it finds. And again, I'm sure it's probably very dark inside of a moon that's just nothing but a deep sea ocean. But how interesting is it that you could it sounds like you could very dangerously walk across its icy, salt-crusted surface, but then drill down into it, maybe living in like icicle habitats that are like stalactites deep down into the oceans, the ocean of this world, and you could very much have an aquatic adventure or habitat, or it could become its own planet-sized, like hundreds of thousands, millions, even billions of people living on Europa, having its own cultures, its own factions, its own wars, even hidden from view from the outside, where people pass by it and just see this, see the icy plumes jetting its salt water out into the into space, at least a 100-mile volcanism and things. And we also have ourselves number 6, Ganymede. I know I said number 5, but you always have to have a special one here. Ganymede. Ganymede was actually used in the televised show The Expanse. We had ourselves a scientist, a hydroponic scientist, and Ganymede, it mentions, is a pretty good image of it, is definitely the most underrated moon in the solar system. Jupiter's Ganymede is also the largest in our solar system. It's larger than Mercury. So Ganymede, a moon, because in comparison to Jupiter's size, is larger than Mercury itself, and likely has a vast ocean of salty water beneath its crust. Methinks that there's a number of these moons that are copying off of each other. Be your own moon, moon. It's the only moon we've known yet which has its own magnetic field, which is something that is not common to other moons. Basically, all of our physics and understanding breaks down, and everybody's models go wrong, and everybody ends up yelling at each other. That's a quote. Scientists have long suspected that the moon may have a metallic iron core. The Hubble telescope spotted ribbons of aurorae circling the moon, a discovery that surprised researchers. I don't know this for a fact, but I believe that Planets with rocky cores that spin or are geologically active can create a magnetic field, and it's possible the iron core could be spinning like a dynamo, creating a magnetic field like Earth has, because ours is a molten core that spins. That's in constant flux. Maybe spinning is the wrong word. Churn would be better, although that word was used for criminalized lifestyle, living in the streets in the expanse. But you get the point. Uh, we may soon get a closer look at the curious world. In April 2023, the European Space Agency launched the Jupiter Ice Moons Explorer, also known as JUICE, mission, which will explore Europa, Callisto, and of course Ganymede. We get to explore this thing, and we have no idea how it works. It confounds us at every turn, and I love that. And lastly, we'll get out of here. So what is a moon anyway? Most experts agree that a moon is simply defined as an object that orbits another celestial body. These satellites come in a variety of shapes and sizes. Some are large and rounded by the enormity of their gravity, while others are tiny, lumpy, and pockmarked rocks. Actually, let me put up this ever shifting. Let's put up. Let's do this again and put this up here. Here we go. Every single moon. Yep, there we go. All right. I'm just trying to make sure that. There we go. Um, Most experts agree that a moon is simply defined as an object that orbits another celestial body. Astronomers have discovered quasi-moons which orbit the sun alongside larger objects. Earth currently has an estimated 7 quasi-moons, one of which, I'm going to butcher this name, Kamo'oelewa, is thought to be a chunk of the moon. Occasionally, Earth will even capture mini moons or tiny asteroids that are gravitationally bound to Earth for a time, but eventually fly off into space. So, even our own solar system is constantly under flux. And what a great way to tell stories about. Remember, I mentioned earlier about resources. I mean, imagine a very powerful mining corporation or a family or pirates or ice haulers or something like that stakes their claim on one of these icy objects, moons, whatever, that basically takes them from zero to hero and starts slicing off little pieces and giving some. Hey, you get a little piece for free, but you want some more of this? You gonna have to pay up. And yeah, Callisto, the ultimate yo mama joke. Ooh, yeah, yeah, yes. Cowboy Bebop anime. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me go back to what you guys have to say. Yeah, imagine if these one of these moves open an eye and start looking at the drone. You don't want an eyeball in that. Deadman says it was originally rode hard, put away wet, referring to horses being ridden to a heavy sweat. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I forgot. I went back that far. Yep, yep, yep. And King says, I really hope we don't bother the aliens on Europa. You know what's going to happen if we ever find life. I don't mean sentient life. I mean microbial life, single cell organism life, bacterium, viruses, mold, fungus. If we find life somewhere, there will be individuals who will want to protect that life. And would they be wrong for doing so? Simply us arriving to a place we could be bringing ourselves, no matter how stringent our ability is to make ourselves clean, we may bring bacteria to a place that could kill that life. And some would say how harmful that is. Europa is the best argument for divine bestiality there is. Ouch. You're wrong. I try to keep, says, I try to keep horses What horses and human reproduction in separate parts of my brain, but man, does that internet make that difficult. Now you put that in my head, damn it. You can't do that. That's like yawning. You do it now the rest of us have to. Dead Man says another interesting planetary body in the Sis. Ceres has an icy crust and subcrustal ocean, the home of the hidden concern in eclipse phase. Is it on Ceres that they have it? It's not in Europa? I couldn't remember. The hidden concern. Yeah, Ceres, Ceres, not like a television series, but the asteroid series is huge as well. The fact that it doesn't orbit another celestial body doesn't make it a moon, but it's like it's close to a size of that kind of thing. So it's got a different classification. But yeah, Ceres has a subcrustal ocean. There's a lot of moons with subcrustal oceans. It's kind of cool. Yeah, metal core equals the moon might be a poser too, like the Earth. Our holy Terra most definitely is. Yep. Ultimate Yo Mama joke. It's so funny. Uh, yeah, microbes on ice meteors equals the ultimate thing for PETA to bitch about. I listen. I didn't want to take it there, and in a way they might be right, but you're definitely doing like the whole Greenpeace like there's life on this moon, you can't land here kind of thing, and you got the rest of humanity coming up behind them like move out the way. The Yanking says, "Hey guys, remember to upvote this video." Well, thank you. So damn it, most of this episode was more about the science than the storytelling, but I hope I'm able to. Let's bring this back to fantasy gaming. Let's bring this back to tabletop gaming. Um, we have ourselves jungles and mountains, dungeons and swamps and islands and deserts. And we have our fantasy adventures there, sword and spell and sorcery and traveling along. Siri says only has a diameter of only has a diameter of 925 only. I'm picking with you, dead man, because I say that because I have bosses that love to use the word only to make work seem like it's less than it really is. But yeah, only that's pretty damn deep. That's that's hella deep of an ocean. If the entire part is aquatic, our own ocean is only like 5 to 7 kilometers deep, maybe ish. So what's the halfway point of Ceres would be in the 400s, 300s maybe in kilometers of depth. That's kind of I'm making that up. I don't know that for certain, but hell, 2, 3, 400 kilometer deep ocean. That's deep. That's deep as hell. Yeah, Dayman says Titan has a diameter of 5,200 kilometers. Uh oh. We're dead man. Are we sitting in a men's room making looking over at the other stall, looking at someone else's measurements? Because you're so right. You are absolutely right. There's enough ocean to I would get. I don't know this for a fact, and I don't even know how you would look this up. I bet there's enough ocean to make three-dimensional habitats that probably could hold most of humanity, our 6, 7, 8 billion residents, and still not make a dent in that ocean, right? Like, because I think sometimes when it comes to numbers of people, we spread across the surface of the earth and we go, oh man, the population's growing, the cities are packed and all that, blah, 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 blah. But when you start thinking in three dimensionality and some of these places, even though they're smaller than Earth, I bet we could probably put 1 trillion people in some of these aquatic places, and it still wouldn't. We would still have elbow room. We wouldn't even notice it. Yeah, Ceres, couple of 100 million people down in the ocean, and wouldn't even notice it. That's my us. That is my armchair back of the napkin kind of thing. Yeah. Deadman says most of the oceans of Earth are usually only a couple of kilometers deep or less. Yeah, and we don't even use those parts of our own ocean, right? Like we have submarines. Yes, I know that. We have ocean liners. We have yachts, and there's even plans. There are people who want to make like I'm going to call them iceberg or flotilla living to spread out from our beaches and things like that, which would be awesome. I think if we on as a human beings could make like oceanized cities would be sweet. But even then, we wouldn't be going that deep. Even whales and dolphins don't go that deep because they have to breathe. So even our biggest, most badass aquatic life doesn't even go very deep into our own oceans. So yeah. Yeah, enough people to feed the emperor for a few fractions of eternity. Exactly, exactly. So yeah, I pick with your dead man, but I'm not really picking because you're doing nothing but dropping facts. I just like to pick with the facts a little bit, because they're story bound. So circling back around, as you can see, that is being flicked in this live thing. Thank you very much for allowing me to use this YouTube and Popular Mechanics in terms of, because I'm pretty sure Popular Mechanics took these images from public domain imagery from NASA and other space exploration. I'm letting you know this, YouTube, so you don't pop me, that in fantasy gaming we have a dozen generalized locations we travel to. You add on top of that maybe 5 times as many locations in extra dimensional spaces, like going to different planes of existence, and even going into Spelljammer, going to other realms and things like that. But in our own solar system, we have moons, and each moon has its own, even our own moon, Luna, which didn't even make the top five. What number is it? Um, it made number 8. Even it amongst itself could be grounds for conflicts and storytelling and exploration and things like that. These are built-in dungeons. And so I just feel like our own solar system is underserved. And as a person who like armchair follows like the JWST scanning of our own solar system and wider range out beyond and new discoveries that we're making, I think these are some great places to throw some adventure and some dungeoneering and stuff. Gotta have your distress calls to empty, mysteriously empty, all people killed habitats. We got plenty of moons to fight over for wars and battles. We have and conflicts. We definitely have to have a bunch of politics, criminal organizations, corporations, isolated communities, cults. Come on, you guys. You guys know some of these other ones. Heck, even utopian cultures that are just trying to get the hell away from everybody else and do our own thing. So, guys, thank you so much for being part of the show. Thank you very much for allowing me to express my love for hard science fiction and a little bit of what. Yes, technically, this was an episode about Obsidian Star in the sense of what fuels me and where many of these story elements can come from. And the fact that we have so many moons that, let's be honest, you nuke a couple, you dump a couple more into other planetary bodies. You get some that are destroyed inwardly, or get sucked into a wormhole, or imploded, or dumped into a black hole. We got plenty more, right? So it's not like we're going to run out of them either. Maybe that's a pretty terrible thing to say, which would probably be an argument for not feeling guilty about killing microbial life on some of these moons. You're like, there's another one, no big deal, right? Well, you've seen one aquatic moon, you've seen them all. Um, but anyway, guys, have a great one. Happy Vice Day, happy day before. Yeah, yeah. You got enough moons for a long weekend. Guys, have a great one. Thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, N King, for reminding people to like and or share and or subscribe and or be notified and or follow uh, on other places. So thank you very much, guys. Have a great one. I will see you later. Peace and tranquility. Bye. We're out.